Chapter 8, 6:05 a.m. We're going to need a bigger fire. I woke with a start. The danger of pretending to be asleep was actually falling asleep. I looked at the world between my fingers. Alex crouched in front of me, staring through his long, straight bangs. Alex, the enemy. What? I rubbed the sleep from my eyes and pulled my blanket tighter. A thick grayness filled the room, the dim before dawn. It's snowing harder. The power's still out, and so is the cell signal. Alex waited for me to say something. Snow splattered against the window as if to prove his point. My mouth felt like the inside of a snail's shell, slimy with a touch of grip. Still, the three of us, still alive, TV still there. No new strangers. I checked my watch. Why are you up at 6? It froze in here overnight. Alex rubbed his hands together. That's what happens when you leave the front door open. And I wanted to restart the fire and maybe get some coffee going before both of you woke up freezing cold. He said it like we were in this fun camping adventure together. I scrunched up my nose up as Otis gave me an oversized look on the face. He likes you, said Alex. He has good instincts. I wasn't so sure. Alex didn't even look tired. His t-shirt wasn't even creased. I wondered if he had actually slept at all. I washed already. A splash of water and clean teeth is great for making you feel alive, he said with a grin, in that annoying, I know what you're thinking way. Only if he did, he'd be a lot less nice to me. And actually, my breath probably stunk of puke, so maybe he didn't mean it nicely at all. I pushed Jade's arm gently to see if she was awake. She blinked like she had forgotten I was there, then frowned when she'd remember. Still alive then? Apparently. I leaned back so I wasn't scarily in her face. It was just a migraine, painful but not life-threatening. I smiled like it was nothing. Great. We all survived. She sat up, pulled back her hair, and rearranged it into a tight bun on the top of her head. Going from the sleep of the dead to absolutely awake in seconds. Is the power on yet? Not yet. I tried the light switch, realizing I'd only taken Alex's word for it, but he was right. There wasn't any power, and the snow was still steadily falling. Jade gave Otis a hug and Alex a grin. Thanks for the loan. He kept me warm. Anytime, Alex turned to me and smiled. Good to see you can still talk. I shivered. You're right. We need to warm this place up. It was freezing outside of my blanket cocoon. Dad'll be back soon, Jade said. We can go somewhere fun for breakfast, like Soto's. They have the best shakes and donuts. Shakes in the snow? Was that an innovation? Asked Alex. No. Jade and I said at the same time. Something else in common then. Anyway, if the power's out here, it'll be out there too. I stared at the snow-covered window. Jade sighed. You're right. Thanks for dashing my donut dreams. But she gave me a tiny smile. Hopefully it'll be back soon, then we can go. Yeah, hopefully. I tried not to sound too cynical. I had about 2 hours max to get rid of Alex, or the real danger would be explaining to my mom why there was a guy in the house. She'd expect the worst of me, anyway. And I'd be grounded for 100 years. You should go while it's light, before the snow builds up even more, I told Alex. I didn't care what he was up to. I just wanted him to leave. You promised you'd leave early. Soto's won't be open this early in the season anyway. Not enough customers, said Alex, ignoring me completely. So, wait, how do you know about Soto's if you don't know your way around here? I frowned at him. Like I said, I got disoriented in the dark in the snow. I didn't say anything. I didn't say I'd never stayed at my aunt's before. He was right, but it still felt wrong. Mr. Soto will be there. He'll open up for us. He and Dad are friends. Jade grinned. What are we doing? Stop. Isn't it? It's strange, isn't it? The new situation. I smiled my best, caring sister smile. You could say that. Jade stared out the window. All right then, even if thinking of myself as a sister felt wrong. Alex prodded the fire with a poker. It had reduced to a mound of ash scattered over a few crusty logs. I'll build the fire back up as a thank you for not throwing me out last night. And then you'll go. I stared at him, arms crossed, unmoving. Sure. He got on his hands and knees and poked at the ashes. You got any more firewood? Not much, said Jade, looking at me. All right, I'm sorry. I wasted a log. I didn't know how to build a fire. A fire. There were only 2 dry logs left. I threw one on and struck a match. It's all we got until our parents come back. It went out immediately. No, not like that. Here. Alex grabbed the newspaper and shredded the pages and bundled them into a loose paper ball. First, you need kindling. He grinned at me. Eagle Scout training. I didn't grin back. Jade went over to supervise. You know there's a stack of recycled paper waste for that in the kitchen, too? Now she remembers. This is fine to get it started. Alex struck a match, setting the paper on fire before replacing the log on top. At least it's there if we need it, said Jade. She stayed mesmerized by Alex's fire-starting technique. Oh, that's cool. A pyramid of paper. I normally crunch it up under the logs. Great. Geeks bonding over fire building. Otis snuffled around the closet. He probably could smell the dog treats Uncle Marvin left. I pulled out the Tahoe guide from the bookshelf and passed it to Alex. It's almost like we can find you a real map and get you on your way. I could be amazingly helpful when I didn't have a migraine. Alex placed it on the floor. So, I've been thinking about my aunts. Since it's snowing so hard and I've proved myself trustworthy and not a dangerous murderer, he raised brows at me. Maybe I could stay until your parents get back and then catch a ride? Well, I was thinking it's best you go now. A gust of wind buffed against the roof. Unless you want to witness my mom killing me for letting you in. I knew for sure Oliver wouldn't be blaming Jade. Jade blew on her hands and rubbed them together. I don't know. They wouldn't want us to let Alex freeze out there. Dad would have helped him if he was here. Of course he would. What perfect dad wouldn't? I don't think they'll mind. Do you, Lottie? Not when they see how helpful he's been and how cute Otis is. Jade was all about the dog. And how bad your migraine was. How helpful. Yeah, and you're not the one who will be blamed. I glared at Alex. He just smiled. They won't mind when they find out how you saved a lost kid and his dog from freezing to death in the snow. Like Jade said, they'll take you out for breakfast, right? He patted the rug for Otis to come and sit next to him. They can drop me off on their way. He was so bloody charming. Mom would eat that right up. It wasn't like I had proof that he had done anything. I could have gotten it wrong, jumped to conclusions from a lifetime of assuming the worst and being right. But the key? I flicked my fingernails with my thumb. I don't know. He raised brows at me, daring me to kick him out. It's the perfect solution. We wouldn't have a frozen dead boy and a dog on our conscience, and I wouldn't be lost. You wouldn't be on my conscience. I tried, staring him down, but he wouldn't even look at me. I went into the kitchen. Jade grabbed the dog treats from the closet. Luckily, my uncle left these behind. There you go. Good boy. She fed a few to an eager Otis. I raised my brows. She shrugged. Alex is a stranger. Your dad will go metal if we let him stay. Not if I explain what happened. Honestly, Lottie, let it go. We might have saved their lives. Who's going to be mad about that? So much for sibling solidarity. It must be nice to know that your parent has total trust in you. I checked my phone signal. Still dead. They would have definitely tried contacting us by now. They had to be on their way back. I checked my watch. It was Dad's old one and dangled from my wrist. I'd forgotten how early it was. Mom would still be sleeping. Jade came to the fireplace clutching a saucepan full of water, 3 mugs preloaded with Swiss Miss. I got one for you too, she said to Alex. Great. I tried a different tactic. Won't your aunt be worried? I asked innocently. That you were missing all night? She's not there yet, so she wouldn't be worried. Alex placed the saucepan over the fire on a grid he had created from an ornamental pokers, trying to prove how clever he was. How convenient. I went downstairs under the pretense of changing into more layers. My head settled into a soft throb. I needed alone time. It was hard enough to think post-migraine without having to try to outmaneuver Alex and Jade. I could force him to leave by telling him I knew he'd been staying, that I'd heard the key, and that he probably didn't even have an aunt, that I knew he'd met with his friends last night, or not friends. I had no proof, though. Alex could say I was crazy, having migraine delusions, and Jade would tell me that tell me she knew they were trouble as soon as she heard it was AJ and Nico. But were they? Or had Alex double-crossed them too? So many questions throbbing around my head. The wind whistled through the cracks of the windows. I could see my breath. I went to Mom and Oliver's room and rifled through their closet. I was unfolding Mom's pale pink Patagonia vest when I turned to notice the radio on the side of their bed. A wind-up, solar-powered radio. Of course Jade was right. There was an emergency radio. Oliver would be prepared. He'd never leave his kid in the back of a car with only a thin blanket and a sad smile the way some dads did. I shivered the memory away. My fingers hovered over the dial. The click echoed in the silence. I waited and counted painfully slow to 10, then turned it up. Little by little, it crackled, playing in and out of tune, louder than softer, until I found it, the emergency alert channel. Solar flares, satellite failure, power outages, Northern California, Western Nevada, Southern Oregon, shelter, repeat, shelter in place, blizzard warning. Shit, blizzard warning. It crackled out of tune. I played with the dial, trying to retune it. Winds of 50, increasing to... I turned it up to hear the words behind the static. Lottie, are you okay? Need any help? Alex called down. I almost dropped the radio. I'm fine. I turned it off and shoved it under the bed. I shivered, but we were already sheltering in place. It wasn't like we could do anything more. And maybe blizzards happened all the time here. Maybe they were like earthquakes, nothing to be alarmed about until the big one hits. What if I was freaking out over nothing? I'd wait until I knew more. Until then, I wasn't about to throw Alex into a blizzard. I put on Mom's vest. It was soft, thick, and the least she could do for me. I grabbed the king-size quilt off their bed, trailing it behind me as I went back upstairs. Jade and Alex crouched by the fire, nursing mugs of lukewarm hot chocolate, as if nothing was wrong, as if the snow would stop, parents would return, and no one was trying to deceive anyone. Does it normally snow this much? I tried to keep worry from my voice. Not this early in the season, said Jade, but I guess sometimes. Last year, it was 70 degrees one day, snowing the next, said Alex. How do you know that? I asked. My aunt told me. Alex nodded at the snow-speckled window. It gets crazy out here, more than ever. Climate change, it's messing with everything, said Jade. We shouldn't even be burning wood. Dad's going to convert it into a gas fireplace. Alex stood and stretched. Yeah, well, it is kind of an emergency heating situation. We all looked at the feeble fire. A gust of wind whirled down the chimney, sending sparks up the flue. A lot of snow was falling, and it wasn't slowing down. I glanced at Alex. Nice vest. A smile hovered at the edges of his mouth. I clenched my jaw, ignoring his comments, and sat by the fire. Snow spattered harder against the windows. Alex played with Otis, unconcerned, as if this amount of snow was not a problem at all, but the radio announcement sounded like they were expecting it to get a lot worse. Blizzard worse. A gust of air blew the back door open, sending snow flying into the room. Jade shut it, making sure the lock clicked close. It's freezing out there. Yep, I rubbed my arms like it would help. We'll need gloves and a coat at this rate. No problem, said Jade. The closet's full of extra jackets and gloves and snow boots. Everyone forgets to bring a good pair of boots. We always let guests help themselves. She smiled at me, like I needed a reminder that this was her place, not mine. Thanks, I smiled back. I couldn't imagine having all that for two people. How many friends did they have? I hugged myself, knowing better than to think this new life could ever be real. The wind picked up, scraping branches across the cabin walls. Otis jumped up excitedly, paused on the windowsills. It was only just past 7. No way Mom would be up before 9. 8 if it was an emergency, which meant she would be a no-show for at least another hour. Oliver probably ignored the stay-in-place shelter to get back to Jade, so they'd be back before the blizzard even hit, and Oliver would know what to do. Jade didn't need to be stressed until I knew for sure what was going on with the blizzard ourselves. I'll keep the radio to myself until they need to know, which hopefully was never. 1 more hour. How did such a short time feel so long? Gust of wind spiraled around the cabin, it was going to get a lot worse. No one was going anywhere except those guys in their massive 4x4 that looked like it could take up a road across Siberia. What if they knew about the blizzard and came back? Stop. Back here. We'd be sitting ducks, nowhere to hide, no escape. They could just ransack the whole place. Not that I even knew what they wanted. Maybe they had just meant to pick up a friend. What if Alex was the friend they'd meant to collect? I bit the hangnail on my thumb. You can stay until our parents get back. Thanks, Alex. Hugged Otis. Hear that, buddy? Lottie doesn't want you to freeze your tail off. And neither do I, Jade added, ruffling Otis's fluffy head. Alex glanced at the fire. We should beef that up and play cards or something until they get here. I guess we could play a game while we're waiting. Anything to kill time and stop my angst from spiraling. I glanced out the kitchen window. The driveway was covered in thick snow. No sign of human life, just small animal tracks, birds or rabbits, no footprints. What are you looking for? Alex spoke softly, but there was an edge in his voice. Nothing, I smiled. Just seeing if they can actually get into the driveway when they arrive. It's not that bad. They'll be able to get here easily in the Land Rover, said Jade, if they ignore the blizzard warnings. Mom would want to stay in Reno as long as possible, but I doubted Oliver would stay in a place if he thought for 1 second anything had happened to Jade. Come on, come back, so I don't have to deal with any of this. Let's play a board game, said Jade. Do you have any? I asked. Of course they did. Jade slid open the polished walnut coffee table, revealing a treasure chest of board games I had no idea existed. Perfect for a family. I could imagine Oliver saying that. The family that plays together stays together. Not now, though. Not when there was a shelter-in-place warning and we were miles apart. I grabbed my journal and my pen at the end of the table. Maybe writing a poem would ease my worries. See, said Jade, bringing me back to reality. Chess, life, Monopoly, pandemic, Scrabble. Can't spell, said Alex. He grinned at Jade, but watched me closely. There was no twinkle in his eyes, no weariness.